Welcome back to the other side of the cell. We're going to take a look at young thugs arrest after violating probation. And Charleston White is just antagonizing and just going in on this dude. So let's take a look at that.
We step on shit. Okay. You didn't say I, you made it plural. You said we. So that's in cohorts. I mean a gang. You on probation. Then you had a fellow with you that was possessing a gun. You are not supposed to be around with people that had guns. The federal authorities, because you made a threat while possessing a gun.
Here's the thing about Charleston White. Charleston White does everything for clicks. Charleston White does things to provoke. And Charleston White one day is going to find out that he keeps fucking with the wrong people. Somebody's going to take him out. I don't know if he's got a security team or what, but he plays with fire all the time.
That nigga told gun. Bitch ass nigga. Man, them hoe ass niggas approach me. Now, catch the foot.
As of March 28, 2026, literally last night, Charleston White, the same man who has been calling Young Thug a rat, a snitch, a fed, a coward, Charleston White just filed a report on Young Thug. He literally went on Instagram and said, "I'm contacting your probation officer. You going to jail." Read that back. The man who built his whole internet brand screaming about snitches just snitched. On camera, on Instagram Live, with zero shame, and here's the kicker, because of what happened at Druski's party in
I can tell you this much: Charleston White is playing with fire. Eventually, somebody's going to hurt this man because you can't go out and do that kind of shit, especially and put it on the internet. No.
Miami last night, Young Thug could be looking at 20 years behind bars. Not 5, not 10, 20, because of a man he probably didn't even want to be in the same room with. This right here, this is one of the most ironic, most twisted, most layered situations hip-hop has seen in a long time, and y'all need to hear all of it. Let me break it down. To understand exactly how insane this is, we gotta go back to Halloween 2024, October 31st. While everybody else was trick-or-treating, Jeffrey Lamar Williams Young Thug walked out of a Georgia jail after spending over 2.5 years locked up on one of the most complicated RICO cases this country has ever seen, the YSL case. Georgia's longest trial in state history. Feds came for the whole crew. 28 people indicted, gang allegations, murder charges, drug charges, firearm charges. The whole nine. Now Thug
If you have this many people involved in that type of case, and then Charleston White wants to interject himself and throw shade or mess with people, whatever you want to call it, that man's playing with fire. He's trying to get himself killed. You might get some clicks, but you might also get some clicks from a gun.
didn't walk out clean. No, he took a plea deal. He was sentenced to 40 years total. The first 5 years commuted to time served, then 15 years of probation. And here's the part everybody needs to understand. There is a backloaded 20-year prison sentence sitting right behind that probation like a loaded gun. Meaning, if he successfully completes all 15 years of probation, that 20 years gets wiped away. But if he violates, he goes back and serves every single one of those 20 years. That's the sword hanging over his head every single day he's free. And the conditions of his release? Gang, they were not light. He cannot associate with known gang members or co-defendants from the trial, with only 2 exceptions, Gunna and his brother Unfunk. He is banned from the Atlanta metro area for 10 years. He must give anti-gang presentations. He cannot promote gang activity in any form. This man is walking on eggshells every single day. Every post, every move, every room he walks into, it all matters. One wrong step and that 20-year sentence activates. That's the situation. Now keep that in mind because everything that happened last night only makes sense when you understand just how tight that leash is. And here's where people don't realize. Last night wasn't even the first time somebody tried to send Thug with that controversy pays. He built his entire online brand around saying the most outrageous, most inflammatory things possible about.
And the thing you gotta remember about Charleston White, he walks around with a rebel flag, and he tries to piss people off. He says some of the stupidest shit in the world. Every once in a while, he comes up with something that's actually legitimate. but for the most part, he says a bunch of outrageous things to get clicks. That's his that's his stick, his spiel.
Hip hop culture, street life, and rap artists. And watching the clicks roll in, he's amassed hundreds of thousands of followers across platforms doing exactly this. And what makes him uniquely dangerous in these situations is that Charleston White has absolutely no problem involving law enforcement when it serves him. Let's run through the track record real quick. In 2002, he got into it with Soulja Boy at an event and claimed he maced him. And then, what did he do right after? He filed a police report on Soulja Boy, on record, publicly. In 2003, he called Child Protective Services on a rapper named Finesse 2 Times who was working with a child artist named Lil King, CPS, on a rapper. He called T.I. out repeatedly over his son King Harris, threatened legal action. He got into it with Boosie Badazz and made it public and ugly. Earlier in 2005, he was arrested himself on aggravated assault charges in Texas. This man has been in and out of drama, in and out of courtrooms, in and out of the headlines for years.
The problem is he's in and out of drama and all that stuff, but he keeps getting out of it. So anybody that knows anything about any of that stuff, he might be a CI or a confidential informant.
But the most relevant piece of his history for this story is his obsession with calling Young Thug a snitch. See, when the YSL trial started unraveling and audio allegedly surfaced of Thug speaking during a police interrogation about fellow rapper Pee Wee Roscoe, Charleston White went absolutely nuclear. He got on Instagram and declared to the world, "I prophesied this. I told y'all Young Thug was gone, don't tell it." He called the entire YSL circle a loose lip full of boys. He made video after video after video drilling this narrative into his audience. Young Thug equals snitch. That was his brand when it came to Thug. And he kept it going. He made inflammatory comments about the YSL RICO case. He suggested Thug deserved his legal troubles. He mocked the supporters. He stayed on Thug's name for months, years really. Every time Thug's situation came up in the news cycle, Charleston White was right there with a hot take and a live stream. Now here's the irony that was always sitting underneath all of it. The whole time Charleston White is screaming snitch. He has never once been shy about his own willingness to involve law enforcement when it benefits him. He called CPS, he filed police reports, he threatened restraining orders, civil suits, all publicly, all proudly. So the rules were always different for Charleston. That contradiction was always there. The culture just never got to see it fully exposed. Until last night. Now here we go. This is the main event, Saturday, March 28th, 2026, Miami, Florida. Druski, the comedian, the content king, the man who has turned Coulda Been Records into an actual cultural empire, just wrapped season 2 of his hit show Coulda Been Love, and he held a reunion event celebrating it. Now let's not understate what Druski's events are at this point. Forbes ranked him number 9 on their top creators list after he earned $14 million in.
If anybody don't know who Druski is, he's the one that just put out the skit about Eric and Kirk that's got everybody going crazy. On the conservative side, Druski is a powerhouse.
2025. His circle pulls everybody. A-listers, athletes, rappers, influencers. If you're somebody in hip-hop culture right now, you show up when Druski calls. It was that type of event. A celebration. A good time. And on this night, in this room of all rooms, 2 people who absolutely should have stayed on opposite sides of the planet ended up face to face, Young Thug and Charleston White. Now, we don't have every detail of what led to the confrontation. We don't have Thug's side yet, and that matters. But here's what we know from what Charleston posted. He took to Instagram immediately after the event and shared video of the alleged altercation where you can see him yelling at Thug and his entourage from a distance. And in the caption, Charleston laid out his version of events in full detail. He accused Young Thug and his entourage of threatening his life and trying to attack him. He claimed that Thug looked him in the eyes and said, "You're going to lose your life right here." Think about that phrase for a sec. You're going to lose your life right here. Those are not the words of a man who understands the legal situation he is in. Because here's the thing about that specific phrase. This alleged incident went down on Federal Aviation Administration property in Miami. FAA property, federal ground. That's not a nightclub parking lot. That's not a private event space. That is federal jurisdiction. And Charleston White, being Charleston White, immediately identified exactly what that meant for a man on probation with 20 years hanging over his head. He threatened to press charges for alleged terroristic threats. He posted a second Instagram video going even harder, blasting Thug specifically about his probation status, claiming one of Thug's entourage had a weapon on them during the confrontation, and announcing he's filing a restraining order. And this is the moment that broke the internet. Charleston White went on record saying he is contacting Young Thug's probation officer Monday morning. "You going to jail." That's the quote. That's the headline. The man who spent years calling Young Thug a snitch is now the one making the report. Now let's slow down and be detectives for a sec, because this isn't just clout chasing and Instagram drama. This has real, serious, life-altering legal implications that we need to break down piece by piece.
So break it down like this. Charleston White is going to be famous for talking all this shit about everybody, and then he's going to snitch on somebody. Make it make sense.
Number 1, the probation terms. Remember what we established at the top? Young Thug has 20 years sitting in a backloaded sentence that activates the moment he violates his probation. So any credible allegation of a new criminal act, and terroristic threats is absolutely a criminal act under Georgia law, is a direct pathway back to prison. Not a year, not 2 years, 20 years. Number 2, the location. The fact that this allegedly happened on FAA property in Miami matters enormously, because his probation is supervised by Georgia authorities, but a federal incident on federal property creates a separate layer of exposure entirely. This isn't just a Fulton County conversation anymore. This potentially becomes a federal conversation, and federal charges and federal violations carry their own separate weight entirely. Number 3, the prior attempt. Remember, prosecutors already tried to revoke his probation in April 2025 over a social media post. The judge shot it down, but she warned him directly to exercise more caution moving forward. The court already has a
websites your competitors don't want you to know are too. All you do is go to this website, and it lets you find out exactly how much
pattern on record now. A second allegation, especially one involving a verbal death threat, an alleged armed entourage, multiple witnesses, video footage, and a formal police report, hits in a completely different way than a deleted Instagram post. Number 4, and this is the part people are sleeping on. Charleston White said he's filing his formal report Monday morning, March 30th. That means as of right now, that report may have already been filed or is hours away from being filed. Once it's in the system, it's real. It goes to the probation officer. The probation officer escalates to the judge, and the judge, who already warned Thug once, now has to decide whether to hold a full revocation hearing. Number 5, the burden of proof. Here's what a lot of people don't understand about probation revocation. This is not a criminal trial. The prosecution does not need to prove guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. They need a preponderance of the evidence, meaning more likely than not. That is a significantly lower legal bar. And with Charleston White on camera describing exactly what he says happened, with video of the altercation on federal property filed formally with authorities, that bar might already be cleared before Young Thug's lawyer can even respond. This is not hypothetical. This is a chain of events that is actively in motion, and 20 years is at the end of that chain. Now let's talk about what the culture is doing with this. Because naturally, the moment Charleston White posted that video announcing he's reporting Thug to his probation officer, the internet had a full meltdown. The irony was impossible to miss and impossible to defend. Here is a man who built his entire online presence around the concept that snitching is the most unforgivable sin in street culture.
But what people have to realize, and we're going to stop it right there, is he built a character, he built a brand off of this, but he doesn't believe in it, and it's fake, just like a whole bunch of things on the internet is fake. This is going to be part 1 of 2 parts on this story. Leave your comments below, like, share, subscribe, and just always remember to stay on the other side.